Mercedes motoring, to buy or not to buy. Okay, so now that we've gone through my opinions on Reinvent the Wheel, Kent Bergsma, Scotty Kilmer, now it's time for some deep sea fishing. And today's catch is going to be MV motoring. Now, I don't dislike what they're doing. I think that the 123 series cars especially need all the help they can get in the marketplace, because I find it appalling that someone will pay, $40,000, $50,000 for a BMW M5 or M6, but when a really nice 280E shows up with a 5-speed manual and excellent owner provenance, it's lucky if it pulls $8,000. So this is sort of a love-hate kind of review. Now, my main issue with Mercedes motoring, believe it or not, is not their pricing. Their pricing is high, but there are a lot of guys out there who would like to achieve those prices, and I think a lot of people out there who don't mind paying the prices for the excellent cars. My issue is with their pretentiousness and their misrepresentation. A few weeks ago, I went out to Oklahoma City for a tech session, which I think some of you know, and I met some of our subscribers there, and one of them told me this story about how he tried to buy a 300 TD wagon from Mercedes motoring and kept contacting them, asking when it was going to be for sale. And then finally, when he got a hold of JG said, "Oh yeah, it'll be for sale in a few months." But a few months passed, he kept trying to ask him when the car would be for sale, and then finally JG gets in touch with him and goes, "Oh yeah, we sold the car already." So I don't think that that's a particularly good way to communicate with people who are interested in buying cars from you, JG. I wouldn't do that to a customer. Neither should you. Now, JG has also made a couple of friends with people that he sold cars with. A few years ago, I was at a car show in South Florida, and I met a guy who had bought a 79 300 CD from him. Hopefully this person is a subscriber, but if they're not, maybe they will be one day, and maybe they'll see this because I'm retelling their story. And when they got the car, it was super clean, super nice, but it still needed a bunch of front suspension work and repairs to the automatic climate control system. Now, the automatic climate control system on a 79 300 CD is ACC2, which is very expensive and very difficult to sort out. So that tells me that Mercedes motoring is either too lazy to sort out the system or they don't know how. But they're still representing the car as a perfect no-needs car. Now, if there were just some honesty where they would say, hey, this car is in really great shape, but it needs X, Y, and Z, then I wouldn't be making this statement. But this guy was unhappy because he had to spend money on things like a radiator and a climate control servo in order to make his 300 CD actually perfect, or in the condition that Mercedes motoring stated that it was. Another gentleman from the web had mentioned he bought a 250C from Mercedes motoring, and when he started looking at the car after his purchase, he discovered there was a bunch of trunk and floor pan rust. We just had to have this rectified in a 73 280 sedan to the tune of about $8,000. So I don't know if his name was Steve. I don't know if Steve's car needed that much work, but I'm sure it wasn't $500 and a pail of fiberglass either, because when the 114 series coupes rust, believe me, they rust. And it was not very good of Mercedes motoring to happen to not notice. The worst part of this was when Steve went back to try to get in touch with them, they would not return his calls or his emails, which brings me to my third gripe about them. The fact that they, especially JG, poses as this all-knowing hipster who has these great adventures with classic Mercedes and shows himself taking the cars all apart and cleaning them. While it is nice to buy a clean car, I don't think that cleanliness really makes the Mercedes experience that much better. The thing that makes the Mercedes experience that much better is when the car is actually well sorted and it works right. And so when I see people who are self-aggrandizing and posting themselves all over Instagram, doing things like cleaning the car, but not actually taking the front suspension apart, or adjusting valves or doing the dirty work, it tells me that they're either too lazy or they don't know. But either way, you have to do the work. Now, some of you might say, oh, Pierre, this is a conflict of interest. Well, it really isn't, because I don't buy and sell Mercedes. I just service them. And servicing Mercedes is what we do and what we will always do. We are not a classic Mercedes reseller by any means, and we don't certainly flip cars. And I don't think that JG really has a total mechanical understanding of what makes these cars work well, because he doesn't seem to be delivering on the mechanical side what he delivers on the cosmetic side. Now, most of the people buying these cars from him probably don't know what a well-sorted 123 feels like, or they're just so happy to get their hands on a cosmetically nice, rust-free car that they will pay anything for it. The thing that I found really funny was that in my conversation with Alex from Reinvent the Wheel, Alex stated that Reinvent the Wheel was hoping to team up with Mercedes Motoring. I don't know if I would really want to team up with a company like Reinvent the Wheel, but for some reason I see the misalignments in customer relationships between Reinvent the Wheel and their clients and Mercedes Motoring and their clients to be highly similar. And these two companies are probably bedfellows if they haven't discovered that yet already. So I would say, before buying a car from Mercedes Motoring, be sure to educate yourself and fly out and inspect the car. I'm not saying don't buy from them, but I am saying buy carefully, because there are better Mercedes out there for less money. Now, if you buy one of these cars and you're willing to put the time and effort into it to bring it back to driving condition, God bless you. I just think that you are doing the best thing in the world, because there's so many of these cars out there that have gone undiscovered and unnoticed that are selling for a fraction of the price of Mercedes Motoring's cars that are really potentially just as good in many ways. So it's always better to take a car that has no bright future ahead of it and bring it back up into condition. That way you at least know what you have, you end up knowing your car, and you end up saving quite a bit of money, especially if you do the work yourself. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you really enjoyed this video and got a lot out of it. And if you're watching this, JG, I'm not trying to criticize you. I'm just telling people what other people have told me about your operation. And in the meantime, keep up the good work and keep raising the profile of 123 series Mercedes and similar classic Mercedes. And in the meantime, please like, share, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and I look forward to seeing all of your comments.